Welcome to this YouTube channel. In this video we are going to talk about 10 things to know about Ahmad Kasravi. So before starting this video, like this video, and subscribe to our YouTube channel for future updates. Seyyed Ahmad Kasravi Tabrizi was a leading Iranian linguist, nationalist, religious reformer, historian and former Shia cleric. Born in Hokmabad, Hohmavar, Tabriz, Iran, Kasravi was an Iranian Azerbaijani. Initially, Kasravi enrolled in a seminary. Later, he joined the Iranian Constitutional Revolution. He experienced a sort of conversion to Western learning when he learned that the comet of 1910 had been identified as a reappearance of Halley's comet. He abandoned his clerical training after this event and enrolled in the American Memorial School of Tabriz. Thenceforward he became, in Roy Mottahedeh's words, a true anti-cleric. Here are the 10 facts about him. Number 10. Kasravi was born on Wednesday, the 29th of September 1890, in the Hokmavar neighborhood of Tabriz. His family honored him as the first son of their family. His mother stopped him from playing with other peers. According to Kasravi himself, from the age of 5, his head was shaved according to the religion of that time, which made him very upset. He was sent to a school in Hokmabad when he was 6 years old. Nevertheless, Kasravi was a leader in learning, comparing himself to his peers, and he learned many things with his own efforts and with the help of his family. His father died at the age of 12 and, after 2 years of carpet weaving, he returned to religious school and continued it according to his father's will. Number 9. Basically, he believed and wrote that all the present-day representations of Islam have been deviated from the essence and the true concept of its foundation. He was particularly critical of Shia since its formation, since the sixth Imam, Imam Jafar Sadegh, and Sufism, to which he ascribed many ills, from its supposed promotion of stagnation, irrationality, or even being a tool of the Orientalists. His main target in that field was the famous E.G. Browne, appreciated by Iranian intellectuals of all tendencies, whom he accused to have favored Sufi poetry in his History of Persian Literature, and thus trying to characterize the Iranian spirit with the errors he thinks belong to Sufis, further promoting idleness and passivity in order to keep Iran subjugated to foreign imperialists. Number 8. God is With Us, or Kota Ba Mast, is a book by Ahmad Kasravi, in which he discusses Sufism, published in 1944. It has 8 chapters. In the introduction he touches on some common beliefs about Sufism. For example, he says that Sufism has many followers and is very diverse, and that there are Sufis in places such as Tehran, Mashhad, Shiraz, Marifah, etc. He goes on to claim that it is not true, that science will destroy Sufism, and talks about why Europeans adore Sufism. He talks about the root of Sufism and its origin in Greek philosophy. Like his other books about Shia and Baha'i beliefs, he criticizes Sufism, and brings up contradictions and flaws in Sufism. In the second chapter, for example, he mentions the fact that most of Sufis do not have any occupation, do not get married, and do not care about life before death. The third chapter is about Islam and Sufism, and the bad things followers of Sufism have done to Islam. The next chapter is about the negative effect of Sufism on its followers, because of the nature of the belief system. In the 6th chapter he calls followers of Sufism liars, and criticizes the message of their books as kramat. The next 2 chapters are about the Mongolians' attack on Iran, and its relationship with Sufism. Kasravi blames Sufism for Iran's defeat. The last chapter is about the Greek philosopher Plotinus, whom Kasravi believes is the founder of Sufism, and Kasravi's critique of his ideas. The book attacks all Sufi beliefs, taking some examples from Sufi books. Number 7. He was in Zanjan until the beginning of Sardar Sepah as prime minister. At that time, Mu'a al-Sultana had become the minister of justice. Kasravi also set conditions for the acceptance of Khuzestan, and when he was accepted, Kasravi also agreed to go to Khuzestan. Before leaving, he met Reza Khan Sardar Sepah for the first time. Sardar Sepah entrusted Kasravi to establish a judiciary that would be superior to the British judiciary on the other side of the Arvand River. Kasravi also set off and reached Khuzestan via Iraq, Baghdad and Basra. First he went to Khorramshahr, then in Abadan he met Sheikh Khazal in his special ship. Number 6. At first, Khazal and his sons were pleased to know that Kasravi had knowledge of Arabic, but when Kasravi wrote in Arabic newspapers in response to Khuzestan's independent reading, and called Khuzestan part of Iran, Khazal became angry with him. Kasravi visited Susa and Dezful in Khuzestan. He also saw the ruins of Jundi Shahpur. In Khuzestan, when he became acquainted with the Arabs of that region, he knew that few people except his graduates were familiar with eloquent Arabic. He also knew that not all Arabs have a good relationship with Sheikh Khazal. At this time, Kasravi was constantly reporting to the Prime Minister on the critical situation in Khuzestan. Number 5. In March, Tehran was informed that Mazandaran's appeal had been dismissed, and Kasravi had to leave for Tehran. On his return to Tehran, he met with Abdolhossein Taymurtash, and this acquaintance later led to their cooperation. After a while, he was sent to Damavand by the judiciary to resolve the disputes between the judiciary staff and the ruler there. After resolving the dispute, they asked him to stay in Damavand and Kasravi accepted. At this time, Kasravi began writing a book in Arabic called Azerbaijan in the 20th Century and sending it to the monthly Al-Irfan. In October, a law was passed to test the knowledge of judges, so Kasravi went to Tehran for the exam and he received the highest score in this exam. He stayed in Tehran for 2 months and spent this time researching the history of Mazandaran, and writing notes on the history of Tabaristan in the weekly Nobahar, and researching Ibn Esfandiar's manuscript and comparing it with foreign manuscripts, which he considered the beginning of his writing life. Number 4. In Tehran, he wrote articles about the mourning for Nader Shah Afshar's grave, which led to his acquaintance with Esperanto groups. He also had meetings and discussions with Baha'is. In the meantime, he was appointed head of the Tabriz judiciary, which he refused. Meanwhile, Kasravi had not yet brought his family to Tehran and did not have enough money to do so. In the meantime, he was offered membership in the Tabriz appeal, which he accepted. In February, he set out for Tabriz, where snow and storm kept him on the road for 20 days. At this time, Azerbaijan, like other parts of Iran, was in turmoil, and Simko Shakak had conquered Urmia. The judiciary has also suffered a lot of corruption, as Kasravi said. The newspaper Molla Nasraddin, which was published in Azerbaijan, after the Caucasus uprising at the time, also covered the devastation in humorous language. However, Kasravi did not stay in Tabriz for more than 3 weeks, as Zia-ul-Din Tabatabaye took power in a coup d'état, and he had ordered the closure of the judiciary on the 14th of March. Thus Kasravi became unemployed again and faced poverty. Number 3. He wanted to go to Tehran when his wife fell ill. At this time, he and a group of thinkers were trying to spread Esperanto in Tabriz. At the end of September of that year, Kasravi's wife's condition worsened, and her hands and feet became swollen. Doctors determined that she had dehydration and needed surgery. After the operation, she recovered for 2 days, but on the second night she died suddenly and Kasravi was deeply saddened. Kasravi's first wife was his youngest cousin, and Kasravi had no attachment to her, and was forced to marry her only at the insistence of her family, but after the marriage, according to Kasravi, the woman had put her love in Kasravi's heart with her purity and simplicity. Number 2. When the school closed on the 2nd of July 1916, Kasravi borrowed loans from acquaintances to find work, and health doctors had offered to travel for further recovery, and traveled by rail to the Caucasus. During this trip, Kasravi tried to learn Russian. He went to Tiflis and left for Baku after 2 days. He did not find anything in Baku, so he boarded a ship and left for Ashgabat. Then he went to Mashhad, and after a month he returned to Baku the way he had come, and when he could not find work again he went to Tbilisi again. In Tiflis he became acquainted with freedom seekers, and also liked the city and its people, so he remained there for a while. There he became acquainted with botany. However, he did not find anything there. Then, in mid-October, he returned to Tabriz following his mother's motivation letter, and the call of Mr. Chesp, the director of the memorial school. Number 1. On the 11th of March 1946, while being tried on charges of slander against Islam, Kasravi and one of his assistants named Sayyid Muhammad Taghi Hatipur were knifed, and killed in open court in Tehran by followers of Nawab Safavi, a Shia extremist cleric who had founded an organization, called the Fadayan-e-Islam, literally devotees of Islam, led by 2 brothers, Hossein and Ali Muhammad Imami. The same group had failed in assassinating Kasravi earlier in April 1945 in Tehran. Ayatollah Boraherdi and Ayatollah Sadr al-Din al-Sadr had issued fatwas for killing Ahmad Kasravi. The later supreme leader of Iran, Ruhollah Khomeini, was also against Kasravi's ideas, and had called for young martyrs for Islam to counter to this illiterate Tabrizi, a few weeks after the first unsuccessful assassination attempt. What do you think of this video? Do let us know down in the comment section below. If you enjoyed this video and want to hear from us again, be sure to hit that subscribe button before you go.